Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Ryan on Listen Up. Ryan, my motto this morning. I know you want to laugh so bad. Make sure you try to keep a serious face. I see it breaking out already. July 19th of 23. A good Wednesday morning to everybody. Respect all, fear no one. Again, Phil and Ryan, listen up. Thank you, KK Arnold, for the intro, like always. Ryan, today the spotlight goes on. How about let's turn it over to you that quick and you tell us who the spotlight goes on, as we're nearing the end of this series and it's getting more exciting every single day.
Yeah, we finally get into the seniors today, and a little sneak peek from the Caroline Ducharme episode on Monday. Aubrey Griffin today, the spotlight goes on to the first senior, redshirt senior, coming into her fifth and final season at UConn. Now the longest tenured Husky, of course. Like I said, beginning her fifth season. Aubrey missed the entire 2021 to 22 season due to a combination of a couple injuries, back, ankle, had the back surgery, leg injuries. So it was a tough season a couple years ago for Aubrey. Weren't really sure what to expect out of her this past season during the 2022 campaign, but she put together a pretty good season, I'd say, coming off of those injuries. Only missed 2 games the entire year, had averaged 11 points, just under 7 rebounds a game as well. Had the second highest field goal percentage on the team, shooting about 53%. Aubrey, I believe she is an above average player, I'd say, on defense for this team. Like I said before, her attributes and contributions to this team really go, I'd say, unnoticed at times. And I think we're kind of guilty of not really talking about Aubrey as much as we should. And
That's one
her
reason
name,
why we can't be blamed anymore, because we're
yeah,
going through every player, putting the spotlight on each one, huh?
right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'd say she has pretty consistent performances too. And she did come up big in a couple of those games last year, and was most of the reason why she won a couple of those games. Had a big game against Baylor, I believe. But without a doubt, I think this season Aubrey is going to play another huge role in the upcoming season. And I think she's going to be one of the key pieces, I'd say, to kind of keep the team rolling throughout the whole entire year.
Yeah, and I just recently spotted an article before we came on this morning, why UConn's Aubrey Griffin is returning for fifth year in stores. Why? I think that obviously I'm not going to sit back and say that she didn't display enough talent. We all know it's almost like, in my opinion, Ryan, don't you get the feel that the offense and the defense are so much more, to me, just from what I saw as far as highlights, they're just so much more balanced when she's on the floor. And I like that. Obviously, that's a good sign for the whole team. The spacing is there. And she, again, we've seen a lot of great defensive plays out of this player, Aubrey Griffin. But again, speaking on behalf of this, of the title 3 weeks ago of this article on CT Insider, why she, and without even opening the article, believe me, Ryan, I'm not going to open it. We're just going to predict for ourselves, because that's what is most fun about this podcast. And then seeing everybody else's comments, we love that part of it. Again, she's coming off of that back surgery where she did not play in, what was it, 21 to 22?
Yeah.
The back injury. Two big questions for you. I think she's in pretty good shape as far as I'm not too concerned about the back. Two separate things for you is, were you expecting more out of her last season when she came back from the back injury? Was her expectation, or her performance, did they didn't fulfill your expectations for her? Or why is she returning for her fifth year in stores?
Well, obviously, we already knew already she was very talented, playing 2 seasons before she had
Mm-hmm.
those injuries that kept her out all year. And like I said, we didn't really know what to expect. So I don't think a lot of people had very high expectations. And I certainly didn't really think she would play that many games. Of course, only missing 2, like I said, the whole of last year. and I
Okay.
think she put together a pretty good season. So I think she definitely lived up to her expectations last year. So hopefully she can have an even better season. I believe she can put together even better numbers this season. Maybe get the assist levels a little bit up. I already know she's a great defensive player. Averaged about a steal and a half per game last year as well. So she's definitely a very gifted, like you said, on both sides of the ball. Kind of balances out everything and keeps the team, like I said, rolling and just kind of keeps the flow of the game moving throughout every single game. But yeah, I think Aubrey, coming back for fifth and final season, we saw it with Dorka as well, playing 5 years of college, and hopefully we see it with Paige Beckers as well. Hopefully she comes back next year for her fifth season with the team. But for Aubrey, of course, like you said, she certainly showed a lot of talent with UConn and certainly could have entered the WNBA draft. But I think it really does benefit her coming back for a fifth and final year. I think for the team's aspect, it really helps the team out having an extra senior on the team now. Aubrey has a ton of experience and obviously missing that full year. She's only played 3 full seasons technically, so this will only be her fourth year of playing, hopefully in an entire season. So I think it benefits the team a lot, also benefits Aubrey a lot, and hopefully she can have a really good season and she can boost her draft stock and hopefully get drafted into the WNBA.
Yeah, you're right. And overall, she did have a great career stats for 22 and 23. But when you look back, I mean, she was averaging around 11 points a game, around 6 rebounds, and an assist. Again, we talk about her block, the way she blocks the ball, the basketball, and then she has that tendency to get steals. But if you take a look back at, I know I don't really want to bring this up. People are going to hate me for this one, but the loss in the Sweet 16 against Ohio State this past year, where Ryan she played in good quality minutes. You're right on that, but when you take a look at the numbers, Ryan, she had 1 point in that game. 1 point. And I mean, I guess that was, I don't know. I had to go back and look at the highlights, but I don't know, that was off of a free throw or what. I mean, 1 point. So maybe as far as contributing more a little bit, maybe more on the offensive side of the ball, that's something that she could work on. I'm only assuming.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's tough for Aubrey because there's so many talented players on UConn. So I think
That's true too.
uh,
Yeah.
I think it's hard sometimes for Aubrey to actually get the ball and try to create for herself and get open and try to drive the lane. So there's so many talented offensive pieces, and now adding another one back in Paige Beckers this season. So I think it's overall just sometimes tough to get Aubrey the ball and for her to create her own shot. And in that game versus Ohio State, the whole team overall struggled to score. Ohio State really had UConn's
Yeah.
number in that game with
Well,
with
that's
the
true too.
half
Yeah.
court press, full court press. UConn couldn't do much of anything on offense, but I would agree. Hopefully, Aubrey, we get to see a little bit more of her on the offensive side, and hopefully she continues to have a couple of those 15, 20, 25-point games at some points during the season.
Yeah. You have to tip your hat to Ohio State. All right. Let's get down in the comments and let's lead it off this morning on this Wednesday with Jason D'Amico. And let's see what Ryan thinks. Like always, let's get down and dirty, fellas. All Huskies fans love AZ. How can you not? AZ has all the potential in the world, and if healthy, will definitely have a great comeback season. However, I need AZ to grow up. I need AZ to become a killer, not just with the shooting aspect of her game, but all of it. Paige needs someone who can take on the role of leader when she is not on the floor. As good as Nika is, she is not Paige or AZ. Can she do it? Can she transform herself from fire support to field general? I don't know. We shall see. Another great show, fellas. Peace.
It's two very good points. I definitely agree with both of those. I think it goes for not only AZ but Caroline as well, with both of them coming into their third season now as juniors already. We're kind of expecting both of them to grow up, like Jason said, and really take control. Especially AZ, we kind of expect her to have more of an offensive role on this team, I'd say, and kind of be a little bit more of a leadership presence and field general aspect for when Nika and Paige maybe aren't on the floor and AZ is on the floor. And hopefully Nika can kind of have a better season. We've definitely seen a little bit out of her with the field general aspect, like Jason was mentioning there. So hopefully we know she struggled last season to kind of get it going, but hopefully now with Nika entering her her fourth season as a senior, hopefully we can kind of see Nika transform from, could continue to bring over that fiery competitor, defensive player of the year aspect and kind of bring all that together into a true leadership role when she's on the floor.
How about this couple? I'm guessing they're from UConn. If not, correct me if I'm wrong. This couple, I guess his name is Adam Edmonds, his username. Love coming to you guys to get that UConn women's basketball fix. Hey, we appreciate it. Great episode about AZ. I think we all have a tremendous amount of faith in her as long as she is healthy. Side note, Gandhi Malu Mamel just tweeted her commitment to UConn from the class of 2025. Do you guys know anything about her? Wow, Ryan. So it's not just Grobel now. Now we have some, and we love it. We can't get enough people to update us on stuff like that. So, Ryan, now we have, I wouldn't say a Grobel number 2. Grobel is very unique, right? Grobel is Grobel, but now we have someone else filling those shoes in sometimes.
Yeah, I did see that. I was just looking on my phone. I was going to mention that at the end, actually, but I'm glad they beat me to it. She's from Ireland, so yet another player from another country. So again, very exciting. I don't know much about her. I didn't research anything about her, what she's done with her previous basketball teams over there in Ireland or possibly other countries, but definitely another very, very exciting player. I think she does currently play at school in New Jersey, I believe. I'm reading here now. So, but another very, very exciting player for the future. So we'll definitely have to have an episode possibly during the season or next off season about some class of 2025 recruits. But yeah, another very, very exciting player. Like I said, we're always excited for the future here at UConn.
This is interesting. Arthur, you guys are overdoing it with your lack of knowledge today. 2023, AZ had an overall shooting percentage of 456. She had the lowest shooting percentage of the top 5 scorers. 2022, AZ had an overall shooting percentage of 457. She was 002 and 003 better than 2 players, or she would have the lowest shooting percentage of the top 5 scorers. Start checking the stats, guys. Your rhetoric is bordering on buffoonery. And then he goes, best shooter in UConn history. Stop picking and choosing games. Yearly overall average is the true estimation of what to expect. Best shooter, far from it. Not even close. Who considers her the best shooter? Name names. Okay, Ryan, it's a lot of different stuff, and I can't wait for you to have to break down this comment. But first of all, we don't come over here just to – the stats are on the internet for a reason, right? So that takes care of that. Second of all, Ryan, name names. So in other words – you and I can't pick and choose our opinions to bring in front of the table. We have to name names on who thinks this stuff.
Yeah, and I think, well, maybe mentioning AZ as one of the best shooters was maybe going a little bit too far.
That's right. And I'm not to cut you off. Maybe Ryan and I think that. Period. Done. End of story, isn't it? Or no?
But I definitely think for AZ, she can definitely become one of the best shooters in UConn history. That is, if she's able to stay healthy these next 2 seasons, completely healthy. I think she has the potential to have 2 really, really good seasons for UConn. And like I was saying in that other episode on Monday about AZ Fudd, I think AZ, before that injury, was giving National Player of the Year vibes and was definitely in the conversation. And unfortunately, she missed 21 or so games. So, like I said, hopefully she can stay healthy for this year. And like you said, we don't really come on here to read a ton of stats that you can look up on the internet. We try to give our best opinions about the player that we think and write up.
Yeah, time for a couple more. I not to sound smart. I mean, I have UConn winning it all. I'll go ahead and tell you that. We're not getting into that conversation because you already know what's going to happen. But 23-24, we'll go over schedule predictions, game by game later on this year as November approaches. But again, I have UConn as a favorite. And I tell you what, Ryan, I heard from a lot of people last season, that UConn was going to win it all, and they didn't. So just a thought to keep in the back of your mind. Groovy says everyone is forcing on LSU like they did for South Carolina, and I see them getting upset in March Madness, and UConn is going to creep in. So see, again, it's kind of like are we hearing this because we're finally listening to what Phil was saying last year about the field general on the floor? Ryan, are we saying this because of Paige Becker's returning, or are we saying this just because we said it last season that they're going to win it all?
Well, I think it's definitely a combination of things, and I think for LSU's standpoint, I think having all these high expectations and having the best roster on paper, bringing in all these players, the recruits, everything like that from the transfer portal, I definitely think it's going to be a tough season for them. Maybe not record wise. I think they're going to cruise through the SEC. I think South Carolina might be on the downfall just a little bit. I still think obviously they'll make March Madness. They'll probably give LSU a run for their money in one of the games that they play them in. But I think for LSU, it's definitely a possibility. Anything can happen in March Madness. Like we always say, it only takes one bad game in March Madness. It's one and done, and your season can be gone just like that, and you can be sitting at home the next day. So I think for UConn, there's definitely also a lot of high expectations. Maybe not on the national side of things, like as big as LSU, but we all definitely know on this side what we're expecting out of UConn this season.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing a couple players back from last year, getting a couple players back, so it's definitely really, really exciting to look forward to what this season brings.
And we already are well aware what superstar power teams bring to the table when it comes to crunch time and playoffs. Go back and look at the history, Ryan. No matter what sport you talk about, it doesn't look that good. So UConn, again, that's a good sign for UConn because we don't consider them going out in the transfer portal, and which they didn't, and just getting all the big names. I mean, so, hey, positive thoughts, and I think we're going to see a lot come next year, 2024, specifically after that big ball drops in New York City, Ryan. Hey, I will let you go on this Wednesday, and we will be right back here Friday, July 21st. The basketball will get tossed to Ryan, and he will have the introductions on Friday morning. Ryan, Phil, and Rye, listen up.